about solutions, and I think that it's about also the messaging when it comes to these issues. That it's constantly this end of the world rhetoric, like the apocalyptic future we're facing if we don't act, which is the challenges are very real. But this was a way of saying, well, actually, we have solutions, and it's not just in our part of the world. It's a global. You travel the world, you'll find people everywhere that are coming up with amazing ideas. Yeah. And I wanted to spotlight that because what you find out is that in our part of the world, half of young people don't believe in the future. They believe we're doomed. Yeah. And that's just simply not the case. Yeah. You know, and then there's a story about humans and about how much we have in common, and that, you know,
well, give me an example then, because it's funny, when I saw the title of the show, I thought, I'm probably more of a pessimist than an optimist. So when I saw the title, I was like, okay, all right, well, give me something to be optimistic about, because all we do hear about
is so 6 years ago, I was in San Francisco. I've been a goodwill ambassador for the UNDP, and that's also how I got into this. Okay. But I was in San Francisco just 6 years ago in this event about climate change, climate action. And one of the things I had to do was to get in an electric car and drive around the corner. And I could only drive just around the corner because it wasn't legal yet. Okay. This is just 6 years ago. Today, Northern Europe, the most sold cars are electric. That transition is happening, and it's happening all over the world. We went to Kenya. We had these. I was driving around electric bikes, like in Africa, large parts of Asia. Motorcycles are the main form of transportation, and they're already electrifying. North of Germany, asking for examples, I went to see a coal power plant. It was the newest in Germany, but only 5 years old. They've already decommissioned it. It's going to transform it into a hydrogen power plant. Okay. Because I spoke to the guy, he said, I've been doing this for 20 years. 20 years ago, we had all of the wind power, and that was like 2-3% of the needs. And I was like, this is never going to work. Today, they're exceeding the needs of the energy needs in northern Germany. So now they're turning into hydrogen. My point is just there's so many solutions, there's so many things, and it's already being scaled up. So it's not just about if we don't do, well, we are doing something. That doesn't mean to say being an optimist is like, oh, I'm just happy, I want to be optimistic. No, it's based on what's actually happening on the ground. And I think it's important for people to understand that, listen, we are doing something, because we get into this whole thing where we're pointing fingers at each other, and I think that's that's not very helpful for anyone.
How many countries did you go to for the series?
We went to more or less 15. I don't have the exact number. We went to Africa, we went to Asia, we went to Australia, we went to countries in Europe, North America, Mexico, Greenland.
So you've covered most of the bases there.
We tried to.
Yeah. And were there material differences in the way people were approaching this, or the way they thought about it, depending on the region?
One of the things that I wanted, why we wanted to do this as a global show, and why we're so, by the way, it's great to be here at Bloomberg, because the support has been immense. But it is to just remind ourselves that why is it we want to save this planet? What is the most important thing for us? And when what would you bring to if you went to an island and it was just you? Yeah. The one thing we can't do without is humans. Yeah. We need each other. And we have to believe in each other. Yeah. And what we found was the challenges we face are the same all over the world. Of course, circumstances are very different if you live in Tanzania or if you live in New York. But what we all want and what we're also hoping to achieve is a better tomorrow. And I think that's important to remind ourselves. And the one thing about the show that I'm also really proud of is that it's a lot of fun. It's fun to meet people that are passionate, that believe in tomorrow, in believing in making a difference. And we have to get away from this thing about saying, well, if you don't make the right choices in your personal life, then you're a good or bad person. That whole thing about judging, because we are in this together. None of us, that whole thing about don't. He who is without sin and all that. Yeah. We're all in this. There's no one who's cleaner.
All right. Well, it's a very fascinating look here, and I really encourage everyone to check it out. And hopefully, I don't know, maybe 20 years from now, you can kind of revisit this and hopefully.
No, but I mean, I say that in this show, and I do believe that 20 years from now, that we will have made the transition away from fossil fuels. There's no question about it. All right.